Greetings, this is Ty Brown with AthleticDirectorU, and I'm here with Phil Fulmer. Coach Fulmer is currently the Vice Chancellor and Director of Athletics at University of Tennessee. Greetings, Coach.
Thank you. Good to be here, Ty.
Now, Coach, your experience, you spent almost 50 years in the coaching profession, 17 of those years as the head coach there at Tennessee, so you have a wealth of experience and a wide lens in terms of college athletics industry. And of course, now you're the athletics director there at Tennessee. Now, I'll start off by talking about some commonalities that you and I have. I spent a long time with the American Football Coaches Association. And one of the things you did back when you won a championship in '98, you had an opportunity to pick up 2 different trophies, right? And after you won, you picked up that Crystal Ball Coaches Trophy from the AFCA. And when you did that, you immediately made that trophy the symbol of supremacy in college football. And that was very relevant to us at the AFCA.
It was. The AFCA is very important to me as it is to you and a lot of coaches. And I knew about the Crystal Ball, and I was looking forward to the opportunity to, to make that decision, number one, but to pick it up. I'm not sure the Tostitos people thought that was a great idea. But that ball symbolizes an awful lot of good things about coaching and what the organization was about, and at that time it became, and taking it off the mountain and lifting it over my head, I think was unexpected as well. But
Right.
Coach Staff and I laugh about that still.
Right. Well, something as important, actually probably more important than that, is a couple of organizations you brought to the Coaches Association and influence you had in bringing them. One was the Jason Foundation, which was a childhood suicide prevention, and also the Coach to Cure MD, and those things ring relevant in terms of the influence that football coaches have, and really college athletics in those two.
Yeah, coaches are about young people, really. That's why you get into the business. More than likely, somewhere along the line, somebody touched you some way as
Right.
a coach or a teacher, administrator, a man in town that's coaching youth football or youth basketball or baseball, whatever. So when it came to, I was asked in actually right after the national championship, 1998, to be involved with the Jason Foundation. It's education and prevention of teenage suicide.
Right.
And it came from a good friend that had lost his son, and I wasn't going to say no. And
Right.
we started from a dining room table and no money at all, and now we're in every state in the union, and year in and year out we're educating teachers and counselors and students how to look for the signs of depression and suicide,
Right.
potential suicide. So we've made a difference there, and that's been wonderful. Brad Todd actually brought the Duchenne muscular dystrophy Coach to Cure idea to us, and we presented it to the board, and they thought it was a great idea. And the green patch you see once a year, represents coaches against muscular dystrophy.
Right, and those things are very important. And I brought up the AFCA to go into what I want to talk to you about here, and that's your transition from head football coach to athletics director. When my time at the AFCA, I always talk to young coaches about to make sure that they don't confuse their purpose for getting in the profession with their goals for being in the profession. Yeah. Right. I talked to a young FBS graduate assistant one time and asked him, why do you want to be a coach? What do you want to get out of this profession? And he said he wanted to be an FBS head coach. And then I asked him why, and he didn't have an answer for it, right? And I think a lot of young coaches confuse the money that can be made as a head coach with their reason for getting in the profession. When I asked the guy, tell me why do you want to be a coach initially? And he said, because I want to influence the young men like I was influenced as a football coach.
Yeah, of course the money's changed tremendously over the years, and there may be people that are actually getting in it, but as you say, because of the money, but it's the wrong reason actually. You have a chance to really make an impact in the community, and with individual young men at a really important time in their life. 18 to 22 years old is a growing time still. They think they're men when they get there, at 18, 17, 19, whatever it is. But that transition time is huge for them, and to have a chance to make a difference is big. Now, we all know you've got to go and win. You've got to recruit well. You've got to do all the things, fundraise. You've got to do all the things that a head coach has to do, on a campus and everything else. But in the end, you hope that the guys are in it for the right reasons, and they don't lose that, as you're saying. It's really easy to get distracted if you're not careful.
Exactly, and you never want to confuse your goals with the purpose for doing anything, really.
That's right.
And so that brings me to you. Tell me about the difference in your purpose of being a coach, a head coach, to now you're the athletics director there at Tennessee. Tell me about the difference in your purposes in terms of those.
Well, you know, my situation at Tennessee is probably different than most athletic directors,
Right.
and that if it had been anywhere else, I don't know, one, if I'd have been interested, or certainly whether they would have been interested in me.
Right.
But having known everything there is practically to know about the University of Tennessee, when they asked me, I had a very comfortable level of
Right.
yes, I can do this. I know the people, I know the place, I know the culture, and those kind of things. But it's still a team. It's still putting together groups of people to achieve a goal, and you know, I think I can do that.
Yeah.
And we're about 7 months into it now, and you know, we're still in some ways figuring out what is our personality, where's our
Right.
strengths and weaknesses.
The culture.
Just like you do a team. Who are our leaders, you know, outside of myself that, you know, can pick people up and do those kinds of things and get the goals made. But we're really close. We're
Right.
really close to getting there, and there's a good energy around our place and momentum right now, and I'm looking forward to seeing how far we can take it.
Right, exactly. And I'd imagine you know, one of the reasons you say you accepted the appointment, we'll say, is because it's Tennessee and your love and passion for Tennessee. And I'd imagine the reason, let's say the reason why you got into coaching was to influence young men and to be an influence in the community. And the reason why you decided to take this, maybe it's because the influence is probably greater as an athletics director. Can you talk about the why, right? The reason why you felt like this was important for you to do?
Well, in our particular situation, we were a little bit, you know, we've kind of been in a tough place for 10 years, you know, and certainly people have come and gone.
Right.
We haven't found, you know, the right football coach at this point yet. I think we have now, you know. There's been a couple of athletic directors that did a really good job and advanced the ball a bit, but, you know, really not where we completely wanted to be. So I felt like that, you know, I could do those things. And, you know, every team is different. When I was coaching, you know, you have a bunch of seniors back versus a bunch of youngsters you're counting on. But regardless of the situation, you've got to find a way to mold. And that's what I felt like I could do at Tennessee. And we've stabilized it. That was the first thing, you know, is to get things stabilized and headed in the right direction. And I really appreciate our board, our president, you know, our chancellor now, and everybody concerned, because that's all part of it. We have to work as a team.
Exactly. Can you talk to me a little bit about the commonalities in leading, you know, 105 to 110 or 20 young men, a staff of assistant coaches and administrative assistants, to how those relate to now you have layers of people you have to lead? What are some of the commonalities in leading a team in terms of?
It's very similar, really. I mean, you're looking for the people on the team, you know, whether it be your football team or basketball team or whatever, but now an administrative team that can lead, that can help you, you know, reach your goals, because you can't, that many people and the dynamics of that, you can't touch everybody every day. But it's like silos, you know, you have to have somebody in every silo that's going to manage that. And it's going to be led well, or it's going to be led poorly. So you just got to make sure that everything's being led well.
Right.
And fortunately, you know, really all we needed was a little bit of culture. We have good people at Tennessee, and now it's a little bit of a, hey, let's do it this way. I think this is a little bit better, and we've tried that a couple times. Let's don't do that again. Let's go over here and work it this way. That sort of leadership, you know. And I mean, you get angry occasionally, you know, when things don't go just right. But the biggest thing is that we all pull in the same way.
Right. And you mentioned a couple things there, from the silos, from having multiple layers now. When you're a head football coach, you almost have to, for a lack of a better word, be kind of a dictator, right? And making sure everything is exactly how you want it to be, so everybody's thinking in the same direction. I'd imagine as an athletic director, it's similar, but you probably have to be a little more democratic with all the layers involved in college athletics. Can you talk about your transition to kind of a different mind state?
Well, I mean, I think it's the same actually.
Okay.
Ty, in my opinion, you have to be your personality, whatever that is.
Right.
And there's times that you're leading by example, and you're, things are going along well. When things aren't going along well, then you got to
step in.
You got to be the dictator.
Right.
A little bit, because it's not going to change. And I think leadership, one, you got to know who you are.
Right.
What is your goals? What is your personality? What are your strengths? Where do you need help?
Right.
And if you can understand what situation you have, and you figure that out, okay, this person's, my strengths are this, and his strengths are that, or her strengths are, then we can work together to make it work.
Right.
You're not going to be great at everything all the time.
Right.
But the things that you're good at, you need to be good at, and where you have weaknesses, you need to get people to help you there. And I know how to do that.
Yeah. Have you noticed, and this is probably a personal question, in the time from being a head coach to now you're an athletics director going on 7 months in, have your strengths changed a little bit? Obviously, we're always evolving as people. Has it changed? And now you have to surround yourself with people who probably emphasize a different part of you than they did when you were a head coach.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean,
Right.
when you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds, it's different than dealing with boosters and faculty and administrators and those kinds of things, certainly. So, yeah, I have found maybe a couple strengths I hadn't maximized,
Right.
And I've also realized that there's a couple things that,
Couple challenges.
I'm challenged with, and I can get help with. And so, but that's, that's my approach, is we're going to do this, and we're going to do it well. We're going to try to do it as a team every way that we can.
Right.
And we're all going to be successful. The boat rises together, because we all come together. And that's pretty much my style.
Right. And one of the things that's important in terms of leadership, and you touched on it briefly earlier, was creating a culture, right? And you said you're still figuring out who we are as an athletics department and the direction we want to go. Talk to me about your methods of creating a culture in terms of the really, athletics is a window to the world for a university. And so the culture you create in the athletics department is what everyone will see in terms of how you run things in the leadership of the university and the university's place really in the country. Can you talk to us how you're creating that?
I absolutely can. I mean, our 4 pillars are communication. Number 1, don't surprise me. Okay,
Right.
I want to know what's going on. I mean, might not always be perfect, but I don't want to be surprised.
Yes, sir.
18 to 22-year-olds sometimes can surprise you, or a 40 to 70-year-old can surprise you
Exactly.
occasionally. But as much as we can, let's communicate. Number 2 is trust.
Right.
Trust is earned, it's not given. So over a period of time, we're 6, 7 months in now, I actually think I know who I can trust and who's going to, do what they say they're
Right.
going to do. And,
Exactly.
and the guys that are persons that don't, we might need to do something else, And the third is warmth. We have not been a greatly warm athletic department in a few years. We've been in strife, and right now we're trying to be warm. And I think the team feels that, the boosters feel that, the faculty feels that, everybody. Hey, they're reaching out, they're doing things in the community, they're being part of rather than a part of,
Right.
So that's important. And the last is intensity. Every day get up to be the best that you can possibly be. And if I can get everybody doing those 4 things, then we've got a chance to be successful.
Move forward successfully. And my final question here relates to student athletes. Your involvement now, you're in the chair, and you want to be able to engage with them as much as possible so they understand they know who you are because you're an icon, but you want to know them probably personally, the warmth you're talking about, be warm as a department. Tell me about your process of engaging student athletes there. I know you got a ton of things on your plate, and you got to figure out a way.
That's been one of the hardest things that I found as a coach, because you're around them every day. You're seeing them in the cafeteria, or you're talking to them about their schoolwork or their parents and those kind of things. When I came in, I felt like, I'd be able to touch these people every day. I have to make appointments and make a point of getting out and having time to see the student athletes, because that's what you're there for, And I'll stop them in the hallway. How are things? It's amazing what you can learn and figure out. With a quick conversation. As they say, meeting somebody at the water cooler, a lot of times better than calling the staff meeting. It's true.
Exactly.
It's absolutely true, because you get them in an environment that they're not uncomfortable in. I'm in the weight room a lot of all sports, not just football, but all sports and around. And you know, you got them now coming up and hugging your neck, and you know, and that kind of thing. They're more comfortable. So I like that. That's my style. It was my style as a coach, and you know, you're the father figure and the tough guy, but you're also the person that cares about what happens to you off the field or off the court.
Excellent information. And I think actually one more question here, Coach, if you don't mind. Do coaches come to you, all sports, and ask you about leadership questions or about, you know, things they may be dealing with in terms of how you dealt with it as a coach and just the wisdom you have as a
well, I hope I can give them some at least experience as wisdom. Yeah, we talk about that a lot, and I think in the department they've been appreciative that you know, hey, he coached, you know, and he coached at the highest level, and he won at the highest level, and there's a kind of I think I understand their world maybe better than somebody that hasn't been on a sideline or hasn't been in a huddle, you know, before. So maybe bring a better, not better necessarily, but another perspective, you know, to what they're trying to accomplish as a coach. I also know how to look at a team and, you know whatever team it is. You know, are they disciplined? Are they tough?
Oh, and see the
you know, are those things that, whereas maybe if you've been a lifetime administrator, you know, that might be a little more difficult for you.
And there are strengths and weaknesses in both in terms of being a coach to an AD and administrator to an AD.
That's right.
And people are coming from law backgrounds and all types of backgrounds.
Yeah, there's all kinds of ways to do it, sure.
Well, Coach, this has been excellent information. I think there's been some things people can take from it and learn and peek into what you do there and also maybe apply to what they do at their institutions. We really appreciate you joining us here.
Thank you.
That was Coach Phil Fulmer. He's the Vice Chancellor and Director of Athletics at University of Tennessee. And of course, this is Ty Brown with AthleticDirectorU. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today.